Hello, I'm speaking with Dr. Alison Parker about one of America's most urgent education challenges, child literacy. If you're a parent of a struggling reader, please know you are not alone. Consider this: 65% of fourth graders in the US read below proficiency levels. For students with dyslexia, that number climbs to over 80%. Dr. Alison Parker brings 25 years of classroom experience and a Ph.D. in literacy education to this question. Her book, Mom is the Missing Link, The Power is Within You. Dr. Parker, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
First, I want to explore that statistic from the US Department of Education. As a teacher and literacy coach, what was your experience in the classroom and what did you see?
Yes. So in September, I noticed. So every single year at the beginning of the school year, we all assess our students. We have data in a file that says that at the end of third grade, the students were here. And what I noticed when I listened to my students read, the data that I observed didn't match the data on those record cards. So many of my students were very disfluent readers. They didn't know their sight words. They couldn't decode multisyllabic words. They had no word solving skills. They had no ability to decode unknown words. They had no strategies under their belt at the fourth grade levels. When I was in the classroom, my focus was primarily on using data to drive instruction. So, supporting my students, usually as teachers, we put students in groups. So, you have a top group, a middle group, and a lower group. And my focus was always on all three groups, particularly that bottom one third group. Those were my struggling readers. They got more of my attention. So, instruction was focused on supporting them in literacy. Once I stepped outside the classroom after 26 years of teaching, I became a literacy coach. And then I saw a different lens. Many teachers have the best hearts and the best intentions, but through decisions, many of them outside of their control, are not able to support our most vulnerable students for a variety of reasons. One being their education just doesn't support students who have dyslexia, which is a language based learning disability. So maybe their teacher education programs didn't focus on helping and teaching students that are the most vulnerable, the most challenged to teach. And so they're at a loss because they just don't have the knowledge base. And so I made it my mission to do something about it.
So, with that said, you have your readers that are challenged, and then you add those with dyslexia to that. Has it become a crisis?
It is a crisis. It is a crisis. I believe it's America's biggest crisis. Homelessness is important. Our national debt is important as well. There's the student loan crisis, but illiteracy is a huge crisis. I believe it's at the highest level, and it's an emergency that we do something more to close the reading achievement gap, which is what led me to write this book.
I think it's important that we understand what the issues are and why do these reading gaps persist? Isn't there a proven standard method of that all teachers use to teach reading?
So we do have nationally what's called the next generation standards, but different things happen in different schools. And so, as a teacher in Brooklyn, New York, and I've been in a few different schools, what the school building leaders are looking for varies depending on their lens. Some of them want teachers to focus primarily on the curriculum and not deviate. The problem with that is the curriculum is focused on and created for students on grade level.
Oh,
So what do you do for students who are in the fourth grade who have a curriculum created for them? And some of these are fantastic curriculums. They're at the reading comprehension level. These students are at a lower level. So we're talking about phonemic awareness. We're talking about the phonics level. So if you have no decoding skills, no word solving skills, you're not ready for a fourth grade text or a fourth grade curriculum. So what teachers find themselves doing is reading to the children and then having the children discuss it, because accountable talk in the classroom is so important, having kids discuss what they've read. But many teachers find themselves reading aloud to children who are supposed to be doing the reading. So that's been a solution that doesn't work.
Right.
So there are curriculums. Some principals want teachers to stick to the curriculum and not deviate. So while you're sticking to the curriculum, are you really meeting the students' needs that are most vulnerable at the lowest level? So, to answer that question, many teachers do what we call differentiate. They do take some time to differentiate to help these lower level readers, but it's not consistent. It's not one on one. It may not be at their level either. They just don't get the help that they need. So, the crisis continues to build and this nightmare grows and grows year after year. The kid gets promoted. Students at the lower level usually have an IEP. And when students have an IEP, which is also called an individual education plan,
Right.
um, no one, we tend not to hold back students that we know have a learning disability. So they get promoted.
Oh boy.
So you get promoted even if you're not reading on grade level because this layer of protection, this IEP that states everything the kid should get to help meet his needs, that isn't always consistent. We do have a crisis in education where we don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough paraprofessionals to support our most vulnerable students. So there are a number of variables negatively impacting our lowest performing readers. So this nightmare grows and continues.
Well, you add that to another startling statistic. According to the National Council on Teacher Quality, 72% of teachers say they're unprepared to teach reading. How is that possible?
Beginning as a nation to address that concern through improving teacher education programs at the college level. Create programs. When I went to college many moons ago, there was no
Yeah.
focus on how to help students who can't read the words on the pages. There was not one course focused on that. And so I realized as a teacher, I don't know enough. I need to go out and learn more. And that's when I discovered the Orton Gillingham methodology, which supports students with language-based learning disabilities such as dyslexia. But many teachers rely solely on professional development at the school level, and we're just getting to a point now in society where we're thinking about, hey, these children are not growing, what do we have to do? And now they're amending and changing and improving teacher education programs. But how many students have been lost along the way? And now they're adults as
Right.
struggling leaders.
What inspired you to write Mom is the Missing Link? The power is within you. And why do you believe mothers and caregivers play such a crucial role in bridging the reading achievement gap?
I have my own private practice in Brooklyn, New York City. I've been tutoring students at my private practice since July 2012. I've met hundreds. I'm probably over 1,000 students that I've tutored in these 12 years, which is fantastic. It's not enough. It's just not enough. So
There's
what
only one of
inspired
you.
there's only one of Alison
Yeah.
Parker.
Yeah,
And so I
exactly.
thought to myself, hey, I need to duplicate my knowledge base. I need to duplicate the pedagogical practices that I use. The knowledge that's in my mind, give this information to parents so that they have access to it. Only my current clients have access to this information because I debrief with parents after every tutoring session. And so while I'm able to meet the needs of a core group of kids that I see 12 months a year at my office, what about all the other students out there?
Yeah.
What about the mom who's online looking, Googling, looking for a solution to help her kindergarten, her first or second grade student? So I created the book so that I could provide a solution to many, many, many more mothers at the regional level, at the national level, because I want all mothers to become empowered. If you're looking for a solution, I created a book to provide them with one.
I have to ask you, why did you choose to focus on mothers as the missing link and not simply parents?
Every day I get phone calls from mothers at my office,
Yeah.
inquiring about, my tutoring programs. If it's not a phone call, it's a text message, it's an email. It's always been mom. And so for the last 12 years, it's been Dr. Parker and moms partnering together to close the reading achievement gap. My students have done a phenomenal job. Most of my clients, 95% of my clients have dyslexia. And so we've been able to move mountains together and grow children as readers. I meet moms who come to me crying, okay, because their kindergarten kid has received a letter that he or she is going to be left back.
Okay.
Okay, or the first grade parent of the kid who has a promotion and doubt letter, and they are so worried. They're crying, they're insecure, they're looking for a strategy, they're looking for a program to help, and we partner together. It is my pleasure to partner with these mothers to help close the reading achievement gap. So all along for the last 12 years, it's been mom. Now, have any fathers ever contacted me? Absolutely. They may contact me about price, but then they bring mom in, and together we have the conversation. And throughout all of the tutoring sessions, it's myself and mom. So the relationship and rapport that I've developed with mothers over the past 12 years, I wanted to honor that and write the book
Yeah.
specifically for her because it's us together working as partners.
Yeah. Who do you think will benefit most from reading your book?
Well, I wrote the book for mothers of children of struggling readers. This is my number one client. This is a crisis. Illiteracy is a crisis in America. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. I feel like it's getting worse. Even now, with the focus on helping students with dyslexia, because there's this urgency for teachers in grades 3 through 8 to get results on the New York State ELA test, and the same goes for other states. There's an annual assessment for students in reading.
Mhm.
There's this urgency, and teachers can't do it alone. They need support. Parents are stakeholders in education. But what I notice in my travels is that we bring mom in for um, the bake sale, for the fundraiser, to chaperone trips. We're not using mom's knowledge base, intelligence, support, availability to help with reading. Mom needs to become a real stakeholder in education and partner with teachers to help close the reading achievement gap. In fact, before students even start school, there are so many practices that mom can implement before school starts. And so part of my book addresses what mom can do when kids are in utero, in the womb. What could you be
That
doing to
early.
avoid that? Yeah, absolutely. Because by 5 months in utero, children can hear language. And so they begin to recognize, hey, I recognize this voice
Mhm.
inside. They can recognize mom's language or the familiar voices of family members. So why not start reading then? So it's not, I didn't write the book for mothers to pick up my book to help students hurry and try to close the achieving gap for a test. I wrote the book so that we could become more proactive from the start.
Right.
What can mothers do during infancy? What can mothers do when their kids are toddlers? All of this is addressed in my book, which is cut up into 5 different parts. I wanted to have a book so parents could pick it up no matter what grade their kid is in, no matter what level of child development the kid is on. Mom could get some pedagogical practices, which is teacher language for instructional strategies. What could mom um, glean from my book at any age of the child? That was my purpose for writing the book.
So some moms might be thinking, if teachers who have training are having such challenging times with this, how am I supposed to make a difference when I don't have any training?
So it's not about specific training, it's about practices. It's about developing a routine of reading daily to children. It's about these practices are easy to implement. It's not a curriculum.
Right.
They're practices and strategies that mom could implement at any point. So the first thing I do for mom is define what a reading achievement gap is. I want mom to know what it is and how dire it is. Okay, you quoted those statistics at the beginning of the interview. I want mom to know how dire this is and to let her know you have all the power. You have so much power, but you may not be aware of your power. And if you implement these few strategies, my goodness, if we created a space at home where children can thrive in literacy, that would make all the difference. If mom dedicated a few minutes per day, who doesn't have 20 minutes to dedicate to reading a great book, a great poem, a couple of jokes from a joke book? Kids love comic books, graphic novels. Who can't make time for a few minutes per day to help build language skills in children? Language is the prerequisite to reading. So I believe in mom and I believe she's powerful. That's why I wrote this book. And if she were aware of her power, we could implement these strategies because they're relatively easy to implement. Now, are there some more advanced strategies there? Absolutely. I literally took my knowledge and dumped it into this book because I want mom to know what teachers know and so that they could ask better questions during report card days so that they could truly be partners in this learning journey. And so it's not a curriculum book, it's a set of practices. And I speak in a very conversational manner so mom can get it, so that she could easily access this information, because this is what, as educators, we need to be doing with mom, teaching her so that we really are partners in education. We say that we're partners, but really, are we partners?
And you had shared with me earlier these amazing stories about moms throughout history who have been responsible for teaching their children how to read. So share with us some of that.
Yeah. So before we had teacher education programs, before we had, a focus on someone going to school to become a teacher, who taught children to read back in the day? Who taught children to read? That was mom. Mom taught children to read. If we think about a few famous people in American history, I'm thinking of one of my favorites, Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass learned to read at home from mom. Mom was the missing
Yeah.
link then. Mom is still the missing link now. We're looking for mom to, even though work is important, the job of teaching children to read has to become a priority again, because we're losing children. We're losing children who are becoming adults who are not literate, or they're functionally illiterate people, which we know limits their earning potential.
And school leaders specifically collaborate with parents to reinforce these literacy strategies at home and in the classroom.
I would say what school building leaders could do is adjust their limiting beliefs. We It's 2025,
Yes.
and parents come to school every day to drop their children off. And so we have to help parents understand this urgency. I think we need to spend time talking about the reading achievement gap. I think we need to bring parents in to address it. And we need to really talk as partners about their role in the reading achievement gap. The reading achievement gap does not start at school. The reading achievement gap starts at home.
Yeah.
Just that statement alone, if mom were aware that the reading achievement gap does not start when Johnny starts kindergarten. The reading achievement gap starts at home, which means mom has the power to positively affect change from home. So let's say you and your baby wake up in the morning, the conversation between mom and baby, I'll give you an example. Mom needs to change the baby's diaper, then we're going to go and eat breakfast or whatever the routine is for the day. Talk the child through it. Narrate everything. Conversation with the kid, narrate everything. Talk to children. Talk to children. Playing with children. So we've moved from the diaper to eating. Let's go
Yes.
play with children. Kids learn about the names of dinosaurs from their parents.
Yes.
From reading to children books about dinosaurs. How do 3-year-olds know the names of all these dinosaurs? Because someone read them books about dinosaurs. Mom read them books about dinosaurs. And so that those ears and that brain is listening and taking in that language. So we're using our time that we do spend with children wisely
Right.
by inserting our language patterns into conversations with children so that their brain grows more words. We want to grow a brain's words exponentially. You can only do that through language, conversation, through play, and interactions that are intentional. So, as children grow as readers, what we want to do is transition them from infancy to toddlerhood. We should be reading to children every day. 20 minutes is an absolute minimum. If you don't have 20 minutes, make it 15. But imagine if we read to children consistently 365 days a year for 15 to 20 minutes. Some parents, if you could do that twice or 30 minutes per day, the amount of words that children's brains will grow will enable them to better decode words because they'll have those words locked in long term memory. And so when kids are older, we find that when I say older, I mean 2 or 3 years old. Parents tend to give them the iPad. They
Right.
tend to buy them a tablet. There's something going on. There's this phenomenon where we think that we should give babies and toddlers and preschoolers and elementary school children phones and tablets and screens and YouTube. It's not enough. Children need to hear mom's language patterns. Mom is the missing link. So mom needs to play with children. And when I say play, I mean play games, play with words. So
Yes.
here's an example. When I was a child, we had access to Scrabble. Scrabble was a big deal at home.
That is a big deal. We love Scrabble.
Do children even play Scrabble anymore?
Here, you shared with me your new mission to create an online literacy coaching community where you coach moms on how to become their child's reading coach. Tell us more about syllable division queens. It sounds so interesting.
Yes. So at one point, I came to the conclusion that I am a syllable division queen. No matter whether I'm coaching children and supporting children in K through 2, 3 through 5, 6 through 8, or 9 through 12. The main reason why children come to me and we begin to see progress with them is because I teach them how to decode multisyllabic words, starting with the one syllable word and then what we call the 6 syllable types. Many children who struggle need to understand how words are made up of patterns. And once we teach them the patterns, they're
Right.
able to better decode words. So I'm on a mission to coach and teach 1,000 mothers in the next year through my coaching membership community. And
That's
in that
exciting.
community, I want us to lock arms and become warriors. I want mom to become warriors and learn how to coach children on words that they get stuck on because our kids don't have any word solving skills. What they do is they mumble, they guess, they skip the word, and we have to teach them strategies. What if mom knew how to coach a kid with how to decode a word other than saying sound it
Right.
out? Sound it out is not helping a brain figure it out. So I have a framework that I want to teach parents. It's a syllable division queen framework that I want to teach parents and help them teach
Yes.
their kid. Why can't you help your kid figure out what a word is? And I know mothers want to help, they just don't know how. And so that's where my mission comes in handy, helping parents literally help kids figure out tricky words. Recently in my office, I had a student who saw the word stability.
Okay.
Stability. Let's clap the word stability. Stability. It's a 4 syllable word. Okay. This student said the word was sustainability. and what we notice is kids in grades 3 through 12 really need a focus on what to do when you're stuck on a word so that they can stop guessing. Guessing is their only strategy and it doesn't work.
Right, right. What is the best way for viewers to connect with you?
The best way for viewers to connect with me is to go to my website, Dr. Alison Parker, PhD. There's a contact form there. There's actually a cell phone number. I only allow text messages. You could text me
Yes.
at that number. You could also send me an email to Purposeful Learning Academy at gmail.com or syllable division queen at gmail.com, and I will reply. So there are a variety of ways to contact with me because I want to connect with parents and be the solution that they are looking for.
Dr. Parker, thank you for this. It's been incredibly enlightening and a real pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
I've been speaking with Dr. Alison Parker, literacy specialist and author of Mama's the Missing Link: The Power is Within You. Her book is available now.